Kansas City radio station faces federal funding cuts. The impact on community voices. Imagine flipping on your dial tomorrow and hearing nothing but static. That's the nightmare Kansas City's beloved community station KKFI is scrambling to avoid. The independent, volunteer-driven outlet that has championed regional artists and underserved neighborhoods for 35 years just learned it will lose $170,000 in federal support over the next 2 fiscal cycles. In plain terms, that's roughly $1 in every 10 the station relies on to keep the lights and microphones on. But here's where it gets controversial. The cut isn't the result of local mismanagement or a shrinking audience. It stems from a decision in Washington, D.C. to yank more than $1 billion from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, CPB. Lawmakers who push the reduction argue public media has become too political. Stations on the ground insist they're lifelines, not mouthpieces. KKFI's Director of Development and Communications, Kelly Dougherty, has the unenviable task of translating those large federal numbers into concrete local consequences. One example she shares with donors is music licensing. CPB negotiates broad, affordable agreements with performing rights organizations so non-commercial stations like KKFI can spin everything from Kansas City jazz classics to experimental hip-hop without paying per-song fees. If CPB funding dries up, KKFI would have to strike these deals solo, an expense that could swallow the rest of its operating budget and force volunteers to painstakingly edit music out of archive shows. For a station powered by just 4 full-time employees and 85 volunteer hosts, that's like asking a neighborhood bakery to mill its own flour. Steve Tulipana, musician, venue owner, and veteran of the local scene, calls the federal move slash and burn. He's baffled that lawmakers would undercut a platform that routinely gives first breaks to bands who could only dream of late-night TV or viral playlists. Madison Ward and the Mama Bear, who went from Independence, Missouri to the Today Show stage, still remember the adrenaline rush of hearing their very first KKFI spin. It showed us what's possible and gave us the fuel to keep going, they said. Meet a number to picture KKFI's reach. The station's 100,000-watt signal can travel roughly 80 miles in every direction. A potential audience of more than 2 million souls, from downtown loft dwellers to rural farmers. Nielsen ratings are too pricey for this shoestring operation, so exact listener counts remain a mystery. But one thing is clear. When tornado sirens fail or cell towers fall, KKFI's emergency alerts can save lives. CPB money also subsidizes that crucial warning system. Lose the cash, and some isolated communities may lose their fastest link to vital weather updates. And this is the part most people miss. KKFI isn't just a jukebox. About 20% of its schedule highlights grassroots talk programs such as Heartland Labor Forum, People Power Hour, and Cowtown Conversations. Whether it's tenants organizing against predatory landlords or seniors puzzling through property tax hikes, the station opens a microphone to voices that larger outlets often overlook. Dougherty insists, this is not a right or left thing, it's a civic thing. Still, congressional critics maintain that public broadcasters tilt political. Is it fair, they ask, for taxpayers who disagree with certain viewpoints to fund those airways? On the flip side, defenders argue that pulling CPB dollars muzzles small, rural, and minority communities that commercial media tends to ignore. That tension sits at the heart of the current debate. KKFI's summer pledge drive winds down Thursday, and management is reluctant to stretch it longer. They know many of their listeners are juggling grocery bills and rent. Yet the station must somehow replace a 6-figure shortfall while continuing to spotlight indie albums, track Midwestern storms, and document neighborhood history. So what happens next? Will local supporters dig deeper? Will Congress reconsider? Or will the Heartland lose one of its last truly open mics? The fight to save K-Mud, a lifeline for Northern California. Northern California's Redwood region loses its vital voice. When flames engulf forests, electricity fails, and mobile networks collapse, a single voice continues to pierce through the silence across Northern California's remote communities. K-Mud Radio. Since its birth in 1987, this grassroots broadcasting station has been the heartbeat of the Emerald Triangle, creating essential connections throughout Humboldt, Mendocino, and Trinity counties, with its blend of music programming, critical news updates, and life-saving emergency broadcasts. It's far more than just a radio station. It's the communication backbone for an entire region. But this crucial lifeline now faces extinction. The recently approved Rescissions Act of 2025 by Congress has slashed an astounding $1.1 billion from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting's budget. President Trump is anticipated to finalize this legislation within days, effectively dismantling the federal funding framework that KMUD and countless other rural stations have depended upon for generations. In a disparate announcement, KMUD revealed that the station